Hi everyone, welcome back to Now I See on CYC. I'm Anna Choi. Today I welcome back Stephanie Livera. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for coming back in again today.
Thanks for having me.
Today I would like to ask you, how did you get to know Christ?
That's an interesting question. I think looking back and reflecting, it was through service this time, and I didn't realize what I was doing was serving. But yeah, that simple act of every Friday night doing dinner, that was how I learned a bit more about Christ. And sometimes that was when I learnt the most about Christ. We went on a bit of an excursion with our group, and we were helping out at a carols, like a council carols thing, painting faces, blowing balloons, and that sort of thing. And we spent the entire day doing that and getting exhausted. And another thing that we did as our group, we went and we did nursing home visits. Another thing, like early on in the church, when people found out I could play the violin, that was also part of my healing process. I totally bummed out on my final recital, so I did a music performance degree and an education sort of thing. And so I kind of had a bad taste for playing after that, and I was in my semi-early retirement of playing violin. So I think this was a way that God had kind of shown me, well, you know what, you can do musical related things, and you probably should. So soon after joining the church, I met a lovely lady who plays the guitar, and we started jamming together, and it was just really fun. And I just realized there was a different side of my music making that could be used for worship, and that was also a part of how life got better. So how I came to know Christ was through service and through using the talents. Yeah.
So what exactly was your service?
This service is the Friday night meeting thing, which takes many things happen. So it's kind of a Bible study, a dinner, a social thing, an English lesson, and then we also plan other activities, sightseeing around Sydney, go look at the beach and the Blue Mountains. Other things, we do service, other kinds of serving, like volunteering. So that was at the council carols.
So how did you start? How did you get started in this service? So from being, not believing in Christ to coming to church and serving.
It was kind of, it's hard. Like sometimes you tell yourself, oh, I'm not meant to do this. I'm not equipped. I can't do this. I don't know anything about the Bible or these things. Actually, that's you get this humility from when you're joining the church, because you really don't know many things at all. That's fun. But back to serving, I think, the way that actually he was just kind of like, no, you're coming. Like it just happened. It's going to happen, and it happened. I went, and I'm really glad that he persisted, and he was just like, nope, you're coming, and that's it. And that was the end of it. So sometimes you just have to take that leap into service, and but as you said, like it was, I think people, even if they're not believing in Christ, there's a sense of virtue. Like you still want to be good to one another, and you want to help people. And I think this service, especially, it's aimed at international students. It was something that, especially in like primary school and even a bit of high school, I'd felt angsty about that, like, Asian looking and being different. So I really, if I could help that experience for someone else, then yeah, sure, that was in my heart.
So how did you decide that this was the right path?
Again, it was, I feel like I almost didn't decide. It was so clear, like this place, I was surrounded by so much love, and my life had changed so drastically within 5 weeks. I'd moved back home, my relation, like all my there was so much more harmony in my life, and it happened not quickly, but it unfolded really beautifully. And By the time I started attending the liturgy, I really wanted to commune. It was just, there was no question about that. I knew that, like I was just dying to commune, and that kind of made the decision for me. And I approached Abuna and yeah.
So when did you decide to get baptized?
It was on the 25th of July last year, so I'm refreshing. And I think originally it was meant to be a month later, and then it was like a bit of a sudden thing, like, oh no, it's actually it's going to be this day. And
so how long was it from first coming to church to being baptized?
I feel like, I'm trying to remember I feel like it was within a couple of, could it be a month? Like just over a month, like 2 months, that sort of time. And within this time, I had been invited to all sorts of things that really enriched my understanding of Orthodoxy. So going to apologetics meetings, and there's a beautiful liturgy for people who are not like agape, what is it? For people who are not Egyptian by background.
Newcomers.
And that was beautiful. So all of these kinds of things, they showed me the rational side of faith, and it kind of encouraged me to realize, well, I think a lot of my previous beliefs as whatever positive thinking and whatnot became very flimsy when compared to this tried and tested, like just golden orthodoxy. It was so, you're allowed to think in orthodoxy, and you're allowed to, you can question things, which, spoke to me.
So tell us a little bit about your baptism day. What was that like?
It's a bit crazy for me personally. Just I hadn't slept too much, and there were moments I had this really strong urge to run away. I was standing right near the door, and there were 2 other girls who were getting baptized that day, and Abuna had been kind of preparing them, and I was already in my white dress, so it's a bit reminiscent of a runaway bride, but I had this really strong desire. I think, no, you're going to make a mistake. Like, what are you signing up for? Really anxious, like sweaty palms, and but I had no shoes on, so that deterred me a little bit. I'm like, I'm going to look a bit crazy if I'm running outside, and there was someone standing next to me, and I'd kind of thought like maybe I should tell them like I feel like running away, but then it occurred to me like I'd only met them a couple of times, and it would be very strange to share that kind of thing. So yes, there was a definite sense of that, and then after it was just kind of like a birthday or a wedding, like on high. Like it was just so joyous. And I wrote, soon after I'd come to the church, Abuna gave me this beautiful little journal. I hadn't really thought about, I just wrote like, today's the day that I'm going to be renouncing my old works, and I was just looking forward to being with Christ and just reaffirming something that I was just so excited. And I still remember as I was approaching it was the first time I had sort of come to the front of the church, and there was this beautiful icon of Jesus at the right, and I feel like his face was just so much closer, and like I was literally closer to his face, but there was something encouraging about the face when I looked at it. And when I tasted the communion, it was amazing. It was what I had been craving for so long. It was something so delicious, and it was because the mass had been earlier. I think it was just like the mixture of the elements, and it was fantastic. I can't explain it, but it was like Jesus knew what I needed to taste, and like it was mind-blowing.
So unfortunately we've run out of time today. Thank you so much for being here. Please tune into our next episode of Now I See on CYC to hear the rest of Stephanie's incredible story. I'm Anna Choi. God bless.